so welcome to Staying Connected. Have a really awesome episode for us today. This is a little bit unusual because Caerusnet is a for-profit business itself, and for the first 10 years or so of doing Caerusnet, we were focused primarily on working with for-profit businesses as well too. And I talked to Nicole Colley when we first got together and said, you know, I've been kind of embarrassed a little bit because we have so many great people in our network that just love giving to the community, the places where they live, that it hadn't occurred to me in all that time that I should be giving away a nonprofit seat on all of the groups that I run to try to help support the communities and rally around really worthy causes. And a fantastic cause to be rallying around is Walk to End Alzheimer's. And I have with us today Nicole Colley, and she is a representative of Walk to End Alzheimer's. And we're going to be talking today about how she got involved in it, how has it changed due to the pandemic, and what are the exciting things that we're looking forward to. So Nicole, welcome to Staying Connected. And I would love to just have you give us the skinny on how you got involved in the walk.
Thank you so much, Steve. And I just want to say thank you, too, for even coming up with the idea to open up those seats for us, because that's something that's definitely really valuable, especially in these times. So just to kind of give you a little background, I worked in long-term care facilities for about 8 years before I ended up taking some time off after I had my second child. I started my first year fresh in a facility with a fundraising team just because I thought it looked fun. It was something fun to do with a couple of coworkers, and it just kind of grew year after year. We were pretty big in our area. Shortly after that, I ended up starting a support group for my community because I felt like it was something that was super needed just for mostly the families in the community that were going through so many changes and losing their loved ones kind of slowly over time with Alzheimer's. So a few years back, my grandfather was diagnosed, so it definitely became more of a personal mission at that point. And I made a switch from working in just generic long-term care specifically to memory care. So I did that for a little while as well before I took time off. And then that's kind of around the time as well that I joined the actual walk planning committee. Now, this is something that for the first however many years, I don't really know how, but I never really knew that it was a thing. And then all of a sudden, somebody reached out to me one day because they knew I was big in fundraising in the area and said, hey, have you ever thought about joining the planning committee? And I said, well, no, but I mean, I guess I could think about it. So she invited me to a meeting just to see what it was all about. And of course, I was hooked. I did my first year on the committee, and then like I said, that was kind of around the same time that I took some time off from work. So eventually when I was ready to go back to work, that was right at the same time that this position opened up, and it just kind of felt like the perfect fit at the perfect time. It was a little bit of the programming and education side that I had with long-term care, and it was the fundraising side that I enjoyed. So now I get to do it full time, and I just really love it.
Yeah, you can tell. And it's amazing. I'm sure you have some sort of statistics on the percentages of families or folks that have been in some way affected by Alzheimer's, because it's so pronounced. Even myself, my favorite grandmother Irene, battled Alzheimer's kind of there at the end as well too. So it's definitely very for real, and it touches a lot of folks. Correct?
It does. I would say pretty much anywhere I go, if I'm speaking, whether it's 2 minutes or 20 minutes, one of the first things that I often do is start off in the room, how many people have been affected in one way or another by Alzheimer's disease? Next, how many people do you know somebody that has Alzheimer's disease, even if it isn't a close connection? And just with those two questions, majority of the time, 9 out of 10 hands are raised, and everybody's affected in one way or another.
And and the primary things that Walk to End Alzheimer's does to support people that are affected by this, top 2 or 3 things that the organization does.
Yeah, so all of the money that's raised by Walk to End Alzheimer's goes to a few different areas. It goes for education and support for the local families. It goes for advocacy efforts, because we do that on both a state and a nationwide level. It goes for research, obviously, to find the cure. And I'm forgetting one now, all of a sudden, totally blanking, but I guess you said top 2 or 3. So that's kind of our biggest areas of support there.
Yeah, absolutely. And the walk is obviously the most visible thing, and yet all of a sudden we're living in this world that none of us imagine being in, having to make quick pivots and change our modes of operating based on the world today. I would assume that this year's walk is going to be unlike any other year. So what are the highlights that you'd want to talk about regarding this year's walk?
Yeah, so I mean, I think you hit the nail right on the head there. It looks different than ever this year by far. It's also more important than ever by far this year. I like to point out that, you know, this pandemic has been severely hard on especially the senior population. So thinking about those people affected by Alzheimer's and those caring for them right now in this pandemic specifically is really, really difficult for them. So they need support more than they ever have before. So just saying that, you know, walk is extremely important this year, and it's also probably the most difficult year that we've had because of the pandemic, like a lot of people. So the walk is still continuing on Saturday, October 3rd for Brighton. The pandemic's changing how we walk, but it definitely doesn't change the need to walk. So while we can't be gathering in a large group this year, we will still all be walking together in our neighborhoods as teams and as families on walk day, so that walk is not canceled and it's not fully virtual. We're still having that walk experience. So we're kind of looking at three time-honored key components for the day. So a three-part process would be that morning on October 3rd at 10:30, instead of reporting to Main Street like we typically would have in the past, this year you'll be tuning into a live stream. So the live stream will still be local. It'll still have that local feel of our local messaging. We'll have our own MC. We'll still highlight our own local sponsors. We still have our flower holders that are different local walkers from the Livingston County area. Following up the ceremony, we're encouraging everybody to kind of take it to your own street. So walk with your family, walk with your team, even your friends or neighbors if you're comfortable, if you're somebody that's in that area, and walk in your neighborhood, walk on a trail, in a park. Kind of think about the person that you're walking for and what they did. Maybe the person that you're walking for used to be a teacher, so maybe the walk route that you choose happens to go by a school. Or maybe they were a soccer coach, so the walk that you choose ends up going by the local soccer field or something like that. So just try and make it personal for you. And then as you finish your walk, we're asking that everybody hop in your cars and go as a family to see our drive-through view-only promise garden. So it'll be locally planted as opposed to getting your individual flowers that you would hold the day of like we typically would. Our staff is planting these in advance for you to drive through at a safe distance with your family. So the main one in Brighton is going to be at the Maltby Horning School parking lot. And then we're also doing a second smaller location in Howell to kind of try and branch out into more of Livingston County this year. And that one will be in front on the lawn of the Livingston County Courthouse right downtown.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, that's a ton of planning, tons of moving parts, and it's coming right up. Hard to believe October 3rd is less than 2 months away, huh? So what's the general attitude and the general feeling amongst folks like yourself at the organization? Are you guys excited and scared at the same time? Is there that element of uncertainty of how the whole thing is going to work? Where are you at emotionally with this year?
You know, I think emotionally we've all kind of gone leaps and bounds since day one. In the beginning, it was like waiting with bated breath to see if the direction was going to come down and we were able to do some kind of event at some point. But at some point, we just kind of had to think about, like, as a national organization, they thought about, you know, what people do we work closest with? The senior population. And like I was saying before, they're the people that are the most at risk and the most affected. So the idea of bringing together a large gathering of people that are all connected to somebody in that way, that would come to an event and then go home to caring for somebody or go to work to caring for somebody, like, just was not a smart idea. So at some point we just had to say, okay, we can't do the large gatherings, so let's pivot and figure out how do we still create that community experience and that bond and just do it differently and safely this year. So I think all of us in the beginning, when we heard what it was going to look like, finally, obviously we were like kind of sad inside. We were like, oh, walk day as we know it. But just really rallying around what this year is really going to look like and getting creative with it and thinking outside the box and realizing that, you know, walk might not look exactly the same, but the reason that we're walking is still there. We're still walking for the same people. We're still walking for the same reason, and we still definitely have that need. So yeah, I think that we're in a good place now.
And it might even generate additional visibility because, you know, if we decide to be walking around our subdivision as a family and we have, you know, our gear on and people can see that, or we have a sign. You'll have signs kind of all over the place in years past, probably places that they wouldn't have been, where they were probably more concentrated.
Yeah, so typically in the past we would have had signs everywhere so that people knew like when walk was happening, and then like it's pretty obvious when there's a giant banner across Main Street and everything, and you see all the purple on walk day. So this year, since walk is going to be everywhere, the goal is that people will be driving around Livingston County and they'll see pockets of purple all over the place, and that'll kind of be the cool experience for the day. Like I said, we're going to have those various promise gardens for people to go to, so we'll have some kind of extra signage around town kind of pointing people that way. Won't be our usual yard signs. It'll probably be more in the downtown area pointing them that direction, since that's what people have been used to. But another kind of added feature that we're adding in this year is what we're calling promise patches. So since some people it might be more difficult to go to a promise garden, or like maybe a senior community can't necessarily take everybody there, we tried to come up with an option where people could have their own promise garden at home. And so for teams that raise a certain amount, or for senior communities that raise a certain amount of money, they're getting their own mini promise garden mailed directly to them to have it at home. So our hope with that too is that driving around you kind of see these little mini promise gardens popping up in yards and at businesses as well.
Yeah, that's very creative, very nice. So the Brighton Wednesday 10 o'clock group, which I facilitate and that you're a member of, you know, there are amazing people in that group. I know that Jimmy Plasky from Executive Wealth Management, who's also been on Staying Connected, he was one of the first people I interviewed when we went into the pandemic. He was the one that I think brought this up to you, and also he's been involved in it too, because I know his grandmother has also battled this, just like mine. So it's personal and dear to him. I want to go ahead and just get a little screen share going. So the members of the Brighton group, but you know, we're not limiting this to people that are just in the Brighton Wednesday 10 o'clock group. If you're a Caerusnet member really anywhere in Michigan that would like to be involved in this and to support what we're doing here, we would love to have your support. But Nicole, you've created a Caerusnet Brighton page for the Walk to End Alzheimer's. And maybe you can explain to us how this page works. And of course, this will be in the links below.
Yeah, absolutely. So like you said, we'll put it in the links below. So literally, if somebody wants to join the team, all they have to do is click that link to open the screen that you're looking at now. All they'll click is join our team. They'll put in their personal information. I think the minimum is like address, email, phone number, that type of thing. And you'll be on the team. There's no cost to sign up. That's something that we stand hard by every year. There's no minimum fundraising requirement or anything like that. Obviously, we would love it if people fundraise, but it's not a requirement of any amount. And they just join your team there. And then, like I said, on walk day, because we're all walking individually, whether it's a small group of Caerusnet people that come together, kind of like when we do our little happy hours, like we've been doing it a little bit, or if people just want to walk individually with their families, it would be really cool to see photos shared the day of everybody from Caerusnet kind of walking all over where they are too.
And if somebody can't be a part of the team, but they wish to just make a donation, obviously that would be a good thing. And this page was just revealed today. So it's going to be exciting to get this off to everybody that's on the team too. But maybe you can just talk about that. You don't have to walk if you're somebody that just doesn't have the capacity on October 3rd to do that. Your money will probably go a long way as well too in terms of a donation.
Yeah, absolutely. And being a part of the team, whether it's just that you want to donate or whether it's that you want to be on the team and maybe you physically can't walk, but you want to like be a team member and share it around. And you know, when you register to be on the team, you have your own walker page, right? And so if that person then shares their profile to their Facebook or wherever else and they get donations, it all goes to the team pot and it all raises money. So I would say that, you know, they're both very valuable ways of helping out as well.
Fantastic. I have a good feeling about this for you guys this year. I think that people are going to come through. I think that people recognize the importance of all of us sticking together really locally. We can't control the rest of the world and how the rest of the world responds to what's going on in the world, but we can take charge in our own communities and we can take charge of our own lives. And I think right now, more than ever, people are probably in a spirit of wanting to help. Are you finding that? Are you guys excited? I mean, what's your general feeling? Do you think this is going to be a great year? Are you concerned about it from previous years?
I have to say, when I initially started making phone calls, because we had so many phone calls to make in the beginning of just community partners or sponsors or team captains from previous years to let them know, like, hey, this is what Walk is going to look like this year, so that we could get the word out there. Just doing numerous interviews all over, trying to get articles published and that kind of thing. And when we first started getting the word out, I think a lot of us were a lot more nervous about how people were going to react, because we thought there would be that disappointment factor. But in fact, we've gotten almost more of the opposite response. And I mean, there's definitely people that are a little bit sad about it, or like, oh darn, it's not going to be the same this year, like I'm not really happy with it. Yeah, there's always those people, but overall we've gotten an overwhelmingly positive support to it. And it just really seems like most people are very thankful for the amount of time and effort that went into the details to make it safe and still have it really be something meaningful.
So one other thing that I'd like to talk about really quickly, and then we can finish with anything else you might want to talk about. What might you want to say to other nonprofits that might be out there in other areas where there might be Caerusnet teams? Why might they want to consider being part of a Caerusnet team, especially if their facilitator is really cool and decide to donate a spot for that? And I think most of them are pretty cool. But what would a nonprofit benefit from? What have you benefited from in terms of like who you've been surrounded by and what you're getting from the Caerusnet meetings?
So I love being a part of the group because it's really interactive and everybody's really supportive. Everyone's truly looking out for everybody else in the group. Everyone refers to everybody as much as possible. Anytime we're out and we meet somebody that needs something, oh, I know a person. So that's really amazing. Any way that we're able to help each other, we can. I specifically, though, in terms of nonprofit, really like this way of networking to get introduced to new people in kind of a different level. So rather than meeting somebody for the first time and saying, hi, I'm Nicole from the Alzheimer's Association. Typically when you say that you're working for a nonprofit, they automatically assume that you're just going to ask them for money and they turn off, they don't want to talk to you, and that's that. But when a friend of theirs introduces you and said, hey, this is my friend Nicole, you should talk to her, that's very different. Because yes, my job is to raise money so that we can support our community. But a large part of my job is also education and programming and making sure that our community is aware of those resources that are out there. If you think of the number of people that maybe are getting a new diagnosis, I know I've told you personally this before, but every 65 seconds, somebody in the United States is diagnosed with this disease. Like, that's an incredible rate. And a lot of the times when people get that diagnosis, they're not handed the here's what to do next. And so it would be really, really awesome if everybody in, Caerusnet, other referrals, whatever, our main thing is referral, which is what Caerusnet is all about. So just having that referral of when you meet somebody out there that maybe got this diagnosis and doesn't know where to go, you're able to refer to us. So I would say that kind of warm introduction is, I would say, my kind of favorite thing about Caerusnet and what's probably most helpful for other nonprofits as well.
All right, that is fantastic. Anything else that you would want to be sure that you left us with in terms of, parting thoughts? We'll probably do a follow-up post to the post that we're going to do on the website regarding how the walk turned out and the tremendous success that's going to be had. Any parting shots, any final message that you'd like to leave us with?
No, I'll reiterate that, we did start that team, and like you said, we'll put the link in the comments so that people can join. So I would say in terms of teams, everybody's either welcome to join the Brighton one, or if there's like another time slot or another area that wants to start a team and have a little healthy competition, that's not a bad thing either. That's always kind of fun. So that could be good. And then just on kind of the other end of business benefits, because I mean, hey, we're all working for businesses here. If there is somebody that's in a place to do something and wants to get some kind of business benefit out of it as well, there's definitely always opportunity for sponsorship or even signs of support, which is kind of a smaller version of that, if somebody wants something like that to do too.
Okay, great. And if anybody has any questions, they're interested in getting another team started, anything like that, I would assume that's a person you're happy to talk to and they can reach out to you?
Absolutely. You can throw my email in the comments too.
Fantastic. All right, Nicole, Colley, great information today. I'm really excited about October 3rd and excited to be a part of helping make the world a better place with you. Thanks for joining us today on Staying Connected, Nicole.
All right. Bye, Steve.